Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Penny Arcade on the Rain-Slick Precipice of Darkness Episode 4. I hope I got that correct. I should, because this is, the second Zeboyd Games. I realize that it's the fourth in the Penny Arcade on the Rain-Slick Precipice of Darkness series in general, but it's the second entry in the Zeboyd Games half of the series. The original ones were action RPGs done by Hothead, as far as I'm aware. The Zeboyd Games are much more traditional, turn-based, JRPG-influenced, with the Penny Arcade veneer draped over top, or, maybe that's vice versa. But anyway, if you did not play the original one, this might seem a little bit confusing to you, but I can't imagine that too many people out there watching this right now are unfamiliar with the Zeboyd Games style of gameplay, I should say. They also did Breath of Death 7 originally on Xbox Live Indie Games, as well as Cthulhu Saves the World, before eventually being drafted into the Penny Arcade fold to finish out the series. And this is, as far as I know, the last planned entry in the Penny Arcade on the Rain-Slick Precipice of Darkness series. I liked Episode 3 a lot. I know Josh loved Episode 3. And you know what? I spent about an hour and a half with Episode 4 so far, and it has been pretty much exactly the same, and I mean that in a very positive way. So we're going to jump in here and continue. We're on Chapter 3. One thing I want to point out, thank God this game has empty save slots, like 5 different possible save files. So many games I've played lately, including things like the Swapper, you hit new game, and then it all of a sudden erases your old game. I really appreciate having, we're working with high-powered computer machines here. I really appreciate having the opportunity to go to, more than one save slot and, keep alternate files, because I don't live in a house where I only play games by myself. But anyway, I've only played this by myself so far. So if you're not familiar with the story, I'm going to try to bring you up to speed, but it doesn't really matter that much. The story from 1 and 2, I have no idea whatsoever, but the story from 3 was basically like Gabe and Tycho, the guys from Penny Arcade, were working at a detective agency, and as a result of the events that happened in that game, without spoiling things too much as is at all possible to not spoil at least, they ended up destroying the universe, but now they found themselves in Underhell, which is a hellish... why am I even trying to explain this? It's got RPG kind of style or influence with respect to the story. We're working with the villain of the last game, and we're divided into 2 different parties here. So right now we are on a train. It's taking us to a place that is far away from here. Obviously, this is a living train. And in terms of the actual kind of tone of the game, very much this is a game that is tongue-in-cheek, and you'll see with the writing. But let's we're gonna get some actual gameplay here first, some combat, if you will. 3 glistening organisms tethered to the car by furiously throbbing ropes are doing their best to simulate humanity. Blegum, blegum, says the passing goid. 4 below. Who the hell are these jokers? You don't like them? By the way, of course the train is living and sentient. As simulacra, I give these attempts a 5. But not out of 10, out of an incredibly large non-10 sort of number. That is exactly the kind of style of writing that you'll be getting here. Man, is this amateur hour? You need a figure drawing course or something. None of these things are on model. They aren't. You don't have those savory ridges. I don't understand here. Anyway, we're going to skip through probably a lot of this dialogue, but the dialogue is one of the most pleasing parts of the game for sure. So it's also a little bit exhausting sometimes if you're not in the mood to read, but, if you're not in the mood to read, why are you playing a SNES-style JRPG, basically? Okay, so every time you get into a battle, or not every time, but sometimes when you get into a battle, you will have special battle conditions like this one, Familial Ties. Enemies can't be killed as long as at least one enemy has more than 1 HP. So I guess we can only kill enemies as long as they are all down to 1 HP here. This should be interesting. Now, what's also kind of interesting is that we're almost doing like a Pokemon-style combat here, in the sense that Gabe and Tycho, or well, in this case, Gabe and I think his name is Dr. Blood, are not actually the ones fighting. Instead, they have these monsters, which kind of function the same as classes, that are tied to them and kind of gain attributes based on who they're tied to. So as of right now, we're just going to start battling here. We have this bird, Mr. Beaks, as you can see there, and he's got certain abilities. He's tied to Gabe, so he's got like these brute abilities that Gabe has, like Power Up, which allows you to double your strength. He also has Bugbird, which adds, it's like his magic abilities, and it adds bleed over time. I was going to say beak over time, but sure, let's add bleed to that guy. And then we have Leviathan, who is controlled by Dr. Blood here, and what he has is the ability to kind of boost all of his stats, as well as tickle the enemy, which might be a good idea. Why don't we use that tickle ability to hurt the Passenjoid F, who is definitely by far the strongest at this point. So remember, we have to get all these guys down to 1 HP. I'm assuming they don't have a heal, otherwise this could be a fight that takes forever. Not heal in the foot sense, obviously. Heal in the other sense of the word, the restorative power sense of the word. And we'll just continue doing some tickling here. Again, we want to make sure everybody's getting down to basically 1 HP. That's why I'm adding bleed to all these guys. Bleed is kind of like poison in the sense it'll take them down to 1 HP, but it won't actually kill them. That's a condition, I guess, special to this game. We'll add bleed to our last passenger here. And what's the health looking like? 1 HP, 1 HP, 1 HP. All right, let's see. We might actually be able to kill all of them on this turn, in which case that actually went surprisingly well. Or we won't have to wait until the next turn. So if you haven't played a Zeboyd game style RPG in a while and you need a refresher or at all, it's a little bit interesting. You don't have to manage your health from like fight to fight. At the end of every fight, everybody who's dead revives, everybody gets experience, everybody gets gold, and all of your health is restored. So in this way, it's kind of unique because every single fight is like its own unique puzzle, which is totally cool. The same thing goes for items. You get uses of items, like, right now I think we have potions that we can use twice, and you can use those twice per battle, and then when you go into the next battle, all of those uses are replenished. It's a very kind of refreshing style of RPG mechanic, I guess is the way that I would put it, and I tend to prefer this to the standard, like, you know, walk around and try to manage your inventory, buy items from the shops en masse. I'm not really into that anymore. I much prefer this. It's more of a casual style, which is kind of what I want at this point in my life, if that makes sense. So the game is kind of subdivided into these dungeons, which are basically encompass a single chapter each. I don't know how many chapters are in the game. I think the third one had 10 or 12. I can't quite remember, though, which represents a length on the game of probably somewhere in the vicinity of 6 to 8 hours, I guess. But again, I'm sure Josh will cover this, so you can go check that out yourself. You got an interrupter quantity upgrade. Use interrupters in battle to push enemies back on the time bar. They'll go back even further if it hits them at the last minute. Good to know, actually. I didn't know that second part there. Yeah, there is an active time battle system. But anyway, another thing that I find refreshing about this game, and in a very positive way, is that I feel like it really doesn't waste your time. And specifically what I mean by that is that you don't get it sucked into random battles like all the time. There's no grinding necessary in this game. Every encounter you can see on the map, you can see it coming. You're not just going to be walking around and then be kind of like waylaid by surprise attacks. Anyway, so of course this also allows the game to be a little bit more directly or deliberately narrative driven, if that makes sense, because every encounter, you know when it's going to happen, and the writers know when it's going to happen, so they can set it up like this. So the train says, okay, listen, I know you guys weren't big fans of my other flesh slaves, but I've learned a lot. I think you're really going to like this new guy. It seemed like maybe you didn't like the bones in the last one, so here, this guy's boneless. King Ivar. No bones this time. What do we think, huh? The train preens, or one gets the sense that it is preening. The glop opens its mouth and cries like a baby. All right, this is frightening. We are going to fight gooms and baggage here. Baggage is just literally, I mean, all of the enemies are kind of thematically tied to the setting, I suppose. So yeah, you know, it's silly. It's meant to be silly. It's a good thing. So again, I have a pretty solid routine that I kind of take here. The game is not super difficult so far. If I recall, Penny Arcade Episode 3, there were times when it got a little trickier, but we're still very much, I wouldn't necessarily say we're in the early game, but we're definitely, you know, not too far into the game where we'd be experiencing like really crazy difficult stuff. I did not expect that to do as much damage as it did. Wow, that actually confused my guy, but that's all right, because he's going to get to kill him anyway. But yeah, a pretty solid routine. If there's any complaint that I can levy about the game, keeping in mind we're talking about a kind of, it sounds like I mean this as a pejorative, but talking as like a comedy or hilarious focused RPG. The one complaint, especially considering it's $5, but the one complaint I could levy is that the combat does so far tend to be a little bit repetitive, and I don't really have to vary my strategy too much. Basically, if I'm fighting, oh, we got Gomez in our party. Basically, if I'm fighting a big enemy without any minions, I just constantly use interrupting attacks on him so he doesn't get to attack as much. If I'm fighting smaller enemies, I just try to take them out as quickly as possible. We got another interrupter quantity upgrade, I should say. So I believe that allows us to use the interrupter more in combat. We can't exit out of here. This is weird to me. Maybe there's a little bit of a puzzle associated with this. Or maybe we just have to come down over here this ladder. Puzzle solved! That is a Northern Lion speed puzzle there. Obviously, I'm being facetious. It wasn't actually a puzzle. So, we can also hold shift if we want to just walk faster. And again, this is awesome because there's no random battles that we're going to be subject to. You know, the flip side is that we can't avoid battles either. I mean, I guess we could give up. I don't know what this actually entails because I've never had to do it. But let's see what this Gomez dude has for us. First things first, we will just inflict bleed on our guys. We'll use the tickle. We got some new abilities because we leveled up. Okay, let's see what this guy's got. Moisten. Heals one ally, no effect on the dead. Medium Aqua Magic regains MP if the attack is fatal. That's actually pretty interesting. Aqua is like fire and ice. And every enemy, when you see, maybe we'll be able to see it here. Yeah, so when you attack an enemy, you can see, okay, it's at 190 HP at 100% power. What's unique is that every turn, the enemy will gain, I believe, 10% power. So you want to kill them as soon as possible, otherwise they get stronger and stronger. That's another thing that's kind of unique about the battle system in this game. And we can see their elemental weaknesses. It's kind of like a process of elimination. Let's say, I mean, it's 0 now, but let's say it was actually like 3 elemental weaknesses. Maybe we would run a wind attack on them and it wouldn't do anything, or it wouldn't do as more damage than we'd expect. So you'd be like, okay, cross wind off the list. Maybe it's aqua. We use aqua and then it hits and you're like, okay, that's really good. Now we know aqua is one of their weaknesses and we can build off of that. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. Let's go back here and what is Dark Scholar? Capomancy. We already had that one. I guess we'll just do a... you know what? Why don't we use an item here? There's interrupters, as mentioned, but I'm just going to use a Molotov cocktail and try to take this dude out. I think he might actually die on this turn. Yeah, actually much more quickly than I originally anticipated. In fact, the Ticketoth is going to be out of time here, unfortunately for him. Molotovs do a ton of damage, but again, you can only use them, as of yet, once per battle, unless you get another upgrade, I guess. You level up quite frequently, and there's no customization on the level up side, so you don't like choose what attributes or what abilities you learn. I kind of appreciate that because it, again, expedites and streamlines the whole process. There is a customization aspect. If I go into my menu here, you can actually change what equipment your units have, of course, but you can also change who they're equipped with. So right now I have Leviathan and the Gomez are equipped with Dr. Blood, but if I change this, I can make them equipped with Gabe instead, and then it'll give them the abilities that Gabe conveys to them, the brute ones, like increasing their strength for the next turn, and also apparently +4 level up bonus and +4 strength. So sure, why not? Why don't we change the bird to Dr. Blood instead then and see what happens. He gets +3 magic and +4 HP and Dark Scholar abilities. So that's kind of how the customization has worked so far, but if it's anything like on the Rain-Slake Precipice of Darkness Episode 3, there was kind of a class-based system that showed up a little bit later in that game. So I don't know if maybe that'll evolve as time goes on. It's a game that tends to move pretty quickly, or a series, at least in my experience so far, that tends to move pretty quickly, and there's changes that you'll encounter along the way. So it's got a kind of unique structure. Again, I can't stress enough that we're only running with 2 people right now, but the other half of our party is kind of like in a different area, solving a different mystery. So you kind of like go back and forth between these two styles. It's Tarantino-esque, if you wanted to be very reductive, I guess you could say, because we're going to jump back and forth in the narrative here. Anyway, generally speaking, interlopers don't actually elope. This is the exception that proves the rule. Robbers! Hey, robber guys! I'm sorry to disappoint you, but this isn't a real train. A lot of people make that mistake, and we don't have anything to rob aside from a bunch of money and 1 or 2 priceless artifacts. Again, I am just going to skip past a lot of the dialogue here. I apologize for doing so, but the dialogue is kind of the crux for why a lot of people are going to play this game. And I'm not saying the gameplay is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like if you're getting into this game, you're not like, oh, cool, a SNES-style JRPG, but it's in 2013. That's awesome. You're more like, hey, it's the kind of style of the Penny Arcade humor, and I like those dudes, and I'm totally okay with playing a game like this. The game is really well executed. It's got great visuals. Fantastic music, absolutely fantastic music, and it seems to move a little bit quicker from place to place than Episode 3 did, which is awesome because it keeps things fresh. That being said, you know, if you're in here for the Penny Arcade kind of absurd humor, then, you know, I don't even know what to say, really. I found myself at a loss for words. If you're in here for the Penny Arcade humor, it's here. It maybe is a blunt way to put it, but yeah, there you go. Alright, so let's see what we've got here. We've got one enemy with 425 HP, 2 elemental weaknesses, 550 HP, 2 elemental weaknesses, 225 HP, 2 elemental weaknesses. Okay, so I think first thing we should do, let's just try to, we'll inflict bleed on the... Oh, I don't have enough MP for Beaconomics? Oh, because I switched the characters. Okay, so you get 1 MP per turn, naturally. So we can't really do anything here except maybe try to knock out this minion first. Since we're starting with 0 MP, that's super shitty. That is my bad. Maybe I should switch those people back to their previous masters. Please tell me we can at least... Yeah, we destroyed 1 at least at the start here. I expect we're probably going to take a lot of damage, but if your character dies, it's not the end of the world. Again, we have a ton of potions, and we also... sure, let's inflict bleed on this guy. We have a ton of potions, but beyond that, we also... he gains MP if the attack's fatal. I don't know. A lot of characters have the ability to kind of heal each other and bring themselves back from death. So, you know, if I die, it's not necessarily the end of the world. So, oh, I don't have enough MP for that. Why don't we just do an attack then? So again, I'm going to try to take out the kind of larger foe this time. I could use some interrupt attacks if I wanted to, push them further back in the active time battle system up at the top there. I don't think it's going to be necessary, though. Medium attack, boosts all stats. Medium wind attack hurts user. Let's try that. I've never used that. Oh, I don't have enough MP. God damn it. I am a big idiot. What do we have here? So I can inflict bleed again, and that's what I'm going to do then. How about this time? We have 0 MP on this dude, so we'll just attack. And on this guy, we now have the ability... Oh, we do not have the ability to tidal wave yet. So let's just try to kill this other unit here. We might actually lose Leviathan, at which point we would bring him back with a potion, of course. I think they would both need to attack Leviathan in all likelihood, though. Alright, we have 0 MP, but we can finally just do some good attacking here. 0 MP, do some good attacking. Tidal Wave. Why are we not gaining any more MP? This is crazy to me. Maybe I have to boost my stats? Whatever. Let's just use the Kimbo. I have no idea what's causing that, but that's okay. The bleed damage should be enough to get this guy in a pretty bad position. As you can see, magic damage does a lot to kind of hurt these enemies. We have 2 MP. Why don't we try to skydive here? Maybe my guy can't get over 2 MP because of his level or something like that, in which case I should definitely probably shift them back to their existing, or their original users, because I think that's kind of how it's set up to be. So this guy was on Gabe, and this guy was on Dr. Blood. Okay. Do we have any, like, equipment that we can put on these guys? No. You know, occasionally you will get equipment. You'll encounter towns where you can buy stuff. It's a JRPG, or just an RPG, I guess. You know, I don't want to accidentally offend anybody. I can't probably walk into that Sarlacc pit if I had to guess. Instead, we'll come up here, and the only way down is through this ladder, which means I'm going to have to fight this, like, pig snout here. Smokestack. That's real gross. How much health does it have? 1250. That's really good. 1 elemental weakness. We should probably try to find out what that is. But first things first, let's inflict bleed. We might as well do our dark attack here just to help us do a little bit more damage. And I guess we'll just do our regular attack then. So the bleed is really important. That's been like the crux of my strategy so far. Anything with bleed or poison that inflicts damage over time should be good. Oh, alright. Well, we're poisoned ourselves now, so maybe I don't know what the F I'm talking about. Let's double our strength for the next turn with that dude. We have 2 MP here. I think we should do the Akimbo. And we still only have 1 MP on this guy. So why don't we just do a basic attack, and then we'll try to do another awesome one next turn. But we'll see how this works out. I very much doubt that we're going to die, like lose a match at any point here. It could happen, though. Why do I not have enough MP? Am I, like, really bad at managing this? I don't understand. Maybe there's... Usually you gain 1 MP a turn, so maybe I'm missing something important here. So sure, let's do a medium wind attack. If he's weak to wind, that would be awesome. In the meantime, we'll just drop a Kimbo here to hopefully do some more damage. He is not necessarily weak to wind. Normally, it'll give you a pretty obvious cue when that happens. So Mr. Beaks died. Maybe this is a good thing, because we should be able to use a potion here on Mr. Beaks, and that'll bring him back to life. I really like how the active time battle system is visualized up in the top right, by the way. But let's see if we have anything here that we can do. Okay, so he still only has 1 MP. We could throw a Molotov cocktail at him. Maybe he's weak to fire. Nope, but it killed him regardless. Beautiful. So let's move on here. So we're probably going to play until... Oh, we have to go down. We're probably going to play until the end of the chapter, if I had to guess. This is unlikely to take us too long. Oh, we're going to fight a vending machine. Every time that I've done a chapter so far, it's been over in like 25 minutes to a half hour. So we'll speed through this, and maybe we'll be able to finish. I don't want to spoil too much, because, you know, this is a kind of game where the story is important, or at least the direction the story takes. Not to say that it is... you know, Citizen Kane or anything like that, but it's entertaining at the very least. So again, with 1 HP, why don't we just do a tickle here, and with 1, we'll do a... Oh, we can't do a Kimbo, as mentioned, so we'll just attack the Vendor instead. Conductor Axe worries me a little bit, but he has less HP, so I'll focus him last. That's probably like exactly the opposite of the tactics that you should use. Maybe because he has low HP, you should focus him first, but, you know, what can I say? I play the game in my own way. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. So we'll just switch over to this other dude now, and why don't we use Smother just to see if this works. Again, I'm just trying to kind of find the elemental weaknesses on these guys now. If I can kill them, even better, though. Remember, Bleed only takes them down to 1 HP, so I do have to be a little bit concerned. Well, that'll just be a guaranteed kill. Do we have anything that we can use here? A heal? Sure, why don't we heal Mr. Beaks just to keep him from... Oh, Lord, that was actually a crazy amount of damage. And we'll tickle this dude. So hopefully we didn't get interrupted there, in which case we should be able to kill the Conductor Axe, kill the Vendor. Oh! So dark magic is, like, effective against him. But unfortunately we don't have any extra dark magic, but we can just keep attacking. Yeah, sure. Why don't we do Skydive here? I don't know how many elemental weaknesses this guy has, but that's okay. So this should be enough to kill him if I had to guess. Hopefully we don't die in the meantime. Skydive did a lot of damage, including some to ourselves, but dark magic worked fantastically. Beautiful. So if I had to guess, we got the vending machine. Cool. We're probably coming along to a boss fight any second now. In terms of my machine gland, that frightens me, but in terms of my impressions on the game so far, it's a very, very easy game to recommend if you are a fan of On the Rain's Precipice of Darkness Episode 3. It's variation on a theme, basically. fairly similar to the existing Gary, to the predecessor. If it's not, superficially obvious, then, here's my verbal confirmation. If you've never gotten into these games before, but you're interested in doing so, if this looks like the kind of thing that might be up your alley, check out On the Rain-Slick Precipice of Darkness Episode 3 first. It's usually on sale. It was free to play for a while. Or at least it was like free on offer for a while on Steam. But yeah, you might as well get into that one before getting into this one, because it doesn't really make sense to jump in right at the end of the series. I would encourage you to kind of get both of them. You can probably, they're $5 each regular price. You can probably get the bundle for $10, and it's $10 for probably like 12 to 15 hours of entertainment. That's pretty good. Let us again use Beaconomics and take these guys out. They have one elemental weakness, which I don't know about. What does this guy have? Dispense a cold one, use a potion without using up a potion, power up, and just his regular attack. Let's use a Molotov cocktail on him. I just want to see if we can kill one machine gland before we actually have to get hit by them here, because I imagine it's going to be a pain in the ass, and they might have a spread fire ability, as you can see right there. What can I say? I've played RPGs when I was younger. It's fairly easy to tell what enemy is going to have what abilities for the most part. We could use an interrupter here. Why don't we use the interrupter on this dude just to push him a little further back in the active time battle system here. We know they're weak to fire, not dark magic. But there's not really much else I can do from a fire standpoint, so I'm just going to do some basic attacks to get my ability, or to get my MP growing again. So we've interrupted him, and then we continue attacking him. Interrupts are a fairly integral part of my strategy for the most part. Do we have a brute ability? We could double our strength. Let's just see how much damage this guy does. Maybe he's like crazy good, and I should not be using him simply to interrupt. Skydive, we do not have enough mana for, so we might as well just do a basic attack. We should be able, at the very least, to kill one of the machine glands here. And this guy now has 2 HP, so we can have him do a... No, we can't have him do a tidal wave. What am I thinking? We can have him do an akimbo. That should work. Alright, so I don't know. That guy's attack was not that crazy good, so my existing strategy should hold fairly strong for now. We will be able to kill this dude maybe on the next turn, but probably not. I'm going to use Dispense to use a potion without using a potion, and we'll heal our Gumez here, who, with 2 MP, now can do another akimbo attack here. This guy's got 2 MP, so why don't we do a Skydive, and this guy's got 1. We can tickle him. This might be enough to kill him. Depends. Nobody's going to die. That's good. 92 damage is like a third of his health. 170 is fairly close to him being dead. There we go. Could have been harder. The bosses usually have some kind of special condition that we'll have to deal with when we run into him. But we are at the head of the train right now, so I assume that this is going to be our boss fight. Get out. My skull is a restricted area. Will you end the charade and take us where we want to go? We're getting on here. Everyone's got their own unique motivations. Gabe wants to live. Dr. Blood's looking for the love of his life. Tycho and Moira from the previous game are out solving their own mystery in the Underhell right now. But anyway, again, skipping through the dialogue. We should analyze this. Soul Furnace, 1500 HP. 3 elemental weaknesses. That's good. Colesman, 0 elemental weaknesses. That sucks. Okay. So what we should probably do first is I'm thinking we'll use Vendor to constantly interrupt, or interrupt as long as possible. And then we'll try to take out these Colesmen, and then we'll see how this works out for us. Maybe first thing we should do, though, is Beaconomics on the Soul Furnace just to get the bleed damage stacked on. So we'll try doing some tickles on these Colesmen here. Dark Scholar doesn't have anything good for it. Oh, it has a Kimbo, but we'll just attack instead. And this guy will have him use an interrupter to keep that train near the back. Basically, I want to keep the big bad attacking as little as possible, or as least often as possible, just to ensure that I hopefully don't take too much damage before I can take out the minions. Then I can focus him, and things should work out better for me in the long run. Anyway, for now, we'll just continue doing some attacking here. We'll do some tickles. Wow, it didn't really do that much damage for the Soul Furnace. I kind of thought it would be more. And we could use the Smother attack just to see if this works, and again, we will continue using our Interrupter. We only have 2 Interrupters, but, other monsters have other abilities that it can actually interrupt themselves, which will be useful for us when we switch over to the other party, which we may or may not show. Oh, that's why we have to kill those guys first, because we don't have any Interrupters left. We'll use a Molotov on this Colesman, though. What was I thinking? I'll just keep attacking for now. Inflicting the bleed doesn't seem that important to me, but maybe a medium wind attack, maybe we'll do that a little bit later. We'll save up MP for now. Nobody's close to death, which is real good, but keep this up here. Sadly, with oh, the Molotov was effective. He had 0 elemental weaknesses, but I guess he was still kind of weak to fire, which I guess you would expect given that he seems to be working with coal, so it's a dangerous situation, I suppose. Let's dispense a cold one to Gomez, and with 2 MP, we can have him maybe do another smother attack, which actually could be fatal in this situation. We'll see, though. For now, we're just going to do basic attacks to kind of get our MP up. We definitely need to kill this Coalsman, of course. Hey, nice, we got MP back because it killed him. And now we're just going to try to take out the Soul Furnace, which I expect is not going to be too difficult. You know, what you've seen so far is pretty representative of the time that I've had with Penny Arcade on the Rain-Slick Precipice of Darkness Part 4 so far. Hasn't been that difficult, but at the same time, it's been, I've had a smile on my face most of the time when I'm playing it because, you know, it's just, it's a fun time. It's got some absurd humor, and I like that a lot. We'll use a Kimbo here to hopefully do some more damage. That being said, you know, this is definitely a game that is probably not going to test you too much. At least, oh, Jesus. At least at the early levels. Of course, after I said that, I died. But let's dispense a cold one to Leviathan. We'll use a potion to heal Mr. Beaks back to life. And he'll have a little bit of HP. There we go. Everyone's back in a fairly decent position here, I would say. Do some more attacking. Again, the bleed damage is the unsung hero here. It's doing a lot of damage. And why don't we just do a standard attack then? Mr. Beaks is again nearly dead. He has a heal ability, right? So we should just use that on Mr. Beaks. And why don't we just do some basic attacking here? Even if like a couple of my heroes die or a couple of my party members die here, we should be able to tear through this guy pretty easily, especially given that I have this Akimbo ability, which usually does decent amounts of damage. And there you go. That's victory here. That is probably the end of our train section. So yeah, as you can see, again, in the Tarantino-esque vein, we move down here to the other side of our party, which is probably going to put us on Chapter 4, but let me save here. And I will save over my file, because I don't see why not. Yeah, so that was a pretty representative example of one chapter in the game. Maybe if it only has 10 chapters, I guess it's like a 5-hour game then, doing the math. So when I said both games combined were 16 hours, you know, that's something I would encourage you to do your own research on, and recall that these are first impressions videos, not formal reviews. But, you know, my first impressions of Penny Arcade on the Rain-Slick Precipice of Darkness Episode 4, a logical iteration on Rain-Slick Precipice of Darkness Episode 3. So if you're a big fan of that one, the price is right here. It's $5. Finish out the series for yourself, and I'm a big fan of the Z-Boyd Games formula, so I am, you know, totally psyched to see them basically back doing what they do best. Not that they ever deviated from that, but in any case, there will be a link in the video description to pick this up on Steam. That will be a link to the Steam store page. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you found this entertaining and maybe a little bit informative, and I will see you next time.